It's officially 8 o'clock and I'm sat in the car and it is sheaving it down with rain. So I apologise in advance for the lighting in this video. If it is bad, again, I cannot do anything about it, so just bear with me. So on the channel, I have a video all around how to study full-time and work full-time and my tips on that subject. But there's been quite a few of you who recently have asked for an updated version of that video. So hopefully I can break down a few more tips for you today on what I did at the time when I was working full-time and studying full-time. So tip number one would be to make sure that you've got yourself an area. So somewhere in your house or in your car or somewhere similar that you can just sit down and do your studying. So I read a lot of these self-help books and a lot of them say that if you've got an area for yourself that you go to when you're studying that's different to where, say, you're eating, sleeping, enjoying yourself, so watching TV, etc., where you relax, if you've got a separate area for where you're studying, then that means that your brain starts to associate that area with study and with that particular task, which strangely means that you're able to focus ever so slightly more. Now, there's been lots of tests that's been done on this, and that's a very simplified layman's explanation of that, but there has been lots and lots of tests that prove that that does work. So I actually did this myself when I was studying. So I had an area that nobody was allowed near, and I had everything very particularly put. So I had my pens, my paper, etc., all lined up, my highlighters, you name it. And every weekend and every evening and every morning I would get up and sit in this one area and do all my studying, and I'd shut the door, kept my head down and just blast away for hours at a time. And I found that that really helped, just having that area that was just yours to do that. And I know sometimes that's not possible because, you know, you might have children running around or dogs running around, or, you know, just a lot of different distractions. But if you can, just anywhere, it doesn't have to be a full desk space. It could be, you know, at the end of your bed, or like I said, in your car, or in a college library or something similar like that. Then that really does help if you have that one area that you associate with your studying. So tip number two would be something I always speak about on this channel in at least one video, and it's just to make sure that you have enough rest. So when you're looking to study full-time whilst working full-time, and what I mean by that is you're going to work your typical 9 to 5 job, and then you're studying in the evenings, or you're attending night school, or you're studying in your breaks in the morning, etc. You must make sure, and I'm going to sound like your mum now, that you've got enough sleep. Because if you've got enough sleep, then you're going to focus better than an individual who has not got enough sleep, because we've all been there where you don't concentrate well. On Friday when I was at college, I might as well not been there because I hadn't had enough sleep during the week and I was just completely useless on a Friday. So there came a point in time where I'd make sure that on a Thursday night I would get enough sleep, so on the Friday I wasn't just falling asleep in class. So that's just a little tip for you. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep when you're trying to do both, because otherwise you're going to tire yourself out, you're going to start making silly mistakes, then you're going to get frustrated at yourself for making those mistakes. You'll complicate things, which I've seen time and time again, and then you'll lose confidence, and that's the main thing you don't want to do when you're studying, in particular something like the AAT, ACCA, CIMA, ACA, etc. You do not want to lose your confidence and start questioning your ability, so make sure that you get enough sleep. So tip number 3 is again along the lines of self-care. So make sure that you're doing enough exercise whilst you're studying, because again, taking care of yourself and making sure that you're fit and healthy, eating the right things whilst you're studying, that's going to help you concentrate, because your body's receiving the right foods, the right fluids, the right amount of exercise to keep your body ticking over and to help your brain to focus more whilst you're studying. So eat healthily, drink healthily, make sure that you're giving yourself enough breaks whilst you are studying. Make sure that you go for the occasional walk just to let your body and mind relax a little bit. And also make sure that you have a little bit of fun time. So make sure you're seeing family and friends, or getting enough time for yourself in between your studying and you're working full time. Because if it's all just hard work, so it's, you know, working and study, and you're not giving yourself any free time, you're going to get put off quite quickly. So tip number 4 is linked a lot with tip number 3. So it's just key whilst you're studying and working so hard that you stay motivated. So make sure that you're taking breaks whilst you're studying and reminding yourself as to why you're doing what you're doing. So why are you studying? Why are you putting all these hours and all of this hard work to get to that end goal? What is that end goal? And when I was studying and working, actually I had pictures up of things that motivated me. So whether that be a new purchase, a holiday, or maybe even paying off debt, for instance, then put those up so that you can visually see them on a wall, and that will help you keep motivated. And also talk about them. So talk about your motivations with your friends and family, etc. And just make sure that you're continuously reminding yourself of those reasons, and that will help you keep motivated whilst you're studying and working full time. So tip number 5 would be to ask family and friends if they can spare the time to ask you questions. So if you've created those flashcards, and you can get a lot of those flashcards for the likes of AAT, definitely ACCA and ACA and SEMA as well, you can get them online, where you can buy flashcards for particular subjects, and you can ask family and friends to read out the question and you can give them the answer. So if you get people involved with the study, it doesn't feel so isolated. You can even do study buddying, so find somebody who's on your course to study with, or to go through areas of concern or things that you don't necessarily understand. Or the other thing you can do is obviously ask questions. So that's one of the reasons why I have the Facebook group created, and I'll leave a link to that actually below for you if you're not part of that Facebook group. But it's just a place where you can ask questions. So if you're not sure about something, or you know, you've been looking at it for a very long time, you think, no, I just don't know how to answer this. Then you can put that in the Facebook group, and either myself or somebody else in the group would be happy to help you understand how we would go about answering that question, to hopefully help you understand what the question's asking. And my last tip, so tip number 6, is just to make sure that you plan. So make sure that you plan the dates that you're going to take your exam, make sure that you plan out the amount of study that you're going to undertake, and make sure that you split that out equally. So what I mean is, you don't want to be cramming in information the night before an exam, because A, that'll stress you out, and B, you're not going to take it all in. So make sure that you take regular breaks whilst you're studying. Make sure that you're only intaking a certain amount of information. So, you know, do one chapter, do a couple of questions behind that chapter, and then move on, give yourself a break, and then go on to the next chapter. So don't try doing everything all at once. Make sure that you're splitting out that study over weeks at a time, so you're giving yourself enough time to take that information in, so you're not stressing again the night before the exam, because there's nothing worse. You're not going to take that information in unless you are an absolute genius, and fair play if you are, but I certainly am not, and I never was during my studies. I had to make sure that I planned everything out. So I had certain days off where I didn't study at all, which is good, because again it gives you a little bit of a break and time to think about things. And I had days where I would study in the mornings, and then times when I'd study in the evenings and not the mornings, to give myself a little bit of extra time in bed, which we all need. But you know yourself what works better for you, whether that be studying in the evenings, mornings, lunch times, or even weekends, whatever works best for you. And just make sure that everybody's involved in that, so that it limits the amount of distractions externally that you might face when trying to study. But I hope you found this video useful. A huge thank you to everybody who supported the channel today. I'm so grateful, and it's helped YouTube to push the channel out to other students who've also benefited. So I cannot thank you enough for all the support. But I shall end the video there. As always, consider subscribing, and I shall see you on the next video.